This video will be from the last cross-country race that I did, which was at Tom Brown Park in Tallahassee, Florida. It's the first stop of the Florida State Championship Series. It is hands down my favorite course in Florida, especially now that it looks like Hales Trails is not going to happen anymore. But that's a different story. So in this video, I'm going to show the course. I'll talk through it a little bit. But more importantly, this is going to be a discussion about cross-country racing and why we do it. Because I didn't do very well in this race, even though I thought I'd been training. I kind of went through this head game after the race, deciding if I want to continue doing this. It was kind of like that moment in Rocky 3 where he's running on the beach and just decides he's going to quit, and then Adrian comes along and talks him into sticking with it.
I don't believe in myself no more, don't you understand?
Anyway, yeah, let's go to the video.
5 seconds.
So it's a downhill start, and as with most cross-country races, it's pretty fast. And I drifted to the back pretty quick, which is when I started to question my training. I'll talk about that coming up in a minute. So the weather was really, really good. Starting to cool off a little bit. Probably not cool by a lot of people's standards, but for those of us who endured the summer in Florida riding, it was really nice. Humidity dropped a little bit, and temperatures were, I don't know, upper 80s, low 90s. And so the weather was spectacular. Also, the trail was in great shape, which is amazing because a hurricane moved through here, Hurricane Idalia, about 5 days before the race. And I was talking to one of the locals, and he said that the trail was just trashed. I mean, debris everywhere, about 5 large trees blocking the trail that fell. They had to be cut. So kudos to the trail crew who cleaned this up. Getting ready to go through the creek here at Tom Brown. And the reason I really like this course is because it has a lot of elevation change. More so than most trails in Florida. This reminds me, for those of you who've ridden Blankets Creek north of Atlanta, this trail system reminds me of that. Just the way it looks, some of the hills. So it's a great race course. In the beginning here, it's a double track, and then you come into the single track here. There's a really fun section right here. One of the downhills. Probably the more sustained downhills than most trails that we race in Florida. It's kind of rooty in spots, but you know, that's the way a lot of our trails are. So I'm riding my Niner RKT9 with Stan's podium wheels. It's the 2023 model that I've just reviewed. Really nice bike. And the bad thing about having a nice bike is you can't blame the bike. So, like I was saying, I didn't do as well in this race that I thought I would. And I've been doing training, about a month, maybe 6 weeks out. I started doing intervals and things like that. One of the things that I haven't done is my mountain bike time trials. And just because it has been so crazy hot, and just pushing hard on a time trial where you don't have a lot of wind on you, you can overheat pretty quickly. That's where the intervals on the gravel bike are better in terms of the heat. But even still, also, I've been trying to get out in the mornings and doing some intervals, and riding the trails in the morning they can be pretty wet, and so I just haven't been doing my time trials. And I'll probably change that. But I mentioned in one of the videos that I made a while ago that mountain bike time trials for me are some of the best ways to train. It's hard mentally to just push yourself all the time doing intervals, and doing time trials really helps. And the other thing that they help with is just getting your mojo on. I felt like I just didn't have my mountain bike mojo for this race. And that's, where you just feel like you're flowing and, just flowing over roots and rocks and around corners. So, that's where the time trials really help. All right, I'm coming up here pretty close to the wall section. And if you're familiar with Tom Brown, you'll know the spot I'm talking about. It's also a place where people gather to, I don't know if they're cheering us on or heckling us looking for a crash, but they gather here. So I got the wall section twice in this video. This one coming up was the first time, and there wasn't near as many people as there were later on in the race. And so here it is coming up. This trail is built so well. They've got features like this built into the trail, and they take care of it well. And it's a pretty extensive trail system. We only raced a small part of Tom Brown. There's a lot more trail. So when I recorded this video, it's not one continuous lap. I recorded just various parts. I tried to get some of the uphills and then some of the more downhills than uphills when I recorded this, just because it's more exciting to watch someone ride downhill than uphill. So going back to the training, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my training, and I'll probably make a whole separate video on that, maybe a project. We call it Project Rocky. But I've been watching a lot of videos lately about Zone 2. It's all the hype right now, and all the physiological changes that go through your body when you ride a lot of Zone 2. It just trains your body to clear lactic acid, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? Because you think that clearing lactate is more beneficial for doing intervals like Zone 4, Zone 5, but maybe I'll get more into that. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm going to shift my focus and really do more Zone 2 or Zone 4 or 5. So either riding fairly conservatively in Zone 2 for a long period of time, or just pushing it really hard and not doing stuff in between that, and just again getting more focus. And the mountain bike time trials, that's Zone 4 or Zone 5. I'll probably do at least one of those a week, but I need to shift my focus a little bit. And here's the other thing is, I only have like maybe 8 hours per week to train, with work and YouTube channel and family and other responsibilities. There's always stuff to do. So the challenge is, and most of the people that watch my videos, I'm sure, deal with the same thing, right? You only have limited time, and for some people, 8 hours may be a lot. The truth of the matter is, I don't want to make excuses, but the truth of the matter is, I'm racing against people who train a lot more. And even though volume isn't everything, volume is important. And if you can get 15 plus hours per week to train, yeah, you're going to be faster. So, again, not making excuses, but it's just the reality. Some people just have more time to train, and that's just the way it is. But you make the most of it. As I mentioned, I went through this kind of mental battle after this race. And by the way, this is one of the uphill sections on Tom Brown. Really good elevation change here, and the downhills are long enough to really be fun. But I went through this mental battle after the race of, why am I doing this? Why am I driving this far when I'm not even making podium? Why am I spending my time training and all that? But the bottom line is, I love racing. I love everything around it. The preparation, even the bike prep, right? Getting your bike ready before the race. I love the training, focusing on nutrition, and having goals. That's one of the things I love about racing, because no matter how good you do in amateur races like this, you're not going to make a career out of it. Now, I know of one guy who is a full-time coach, and so that's kind of making a career out of it. But most of us aren't making money bike racing. We do it for the fun of it and having goals. And by the way, he is a guy who, I think he's won nationals in marathon and maybe even cross country, and he won this race by a lot. He's one of those guys that gets to train a ton. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, I just love racing. I love having something to work towards, a goal, something to motivate me to get out there and push. And here's the wall section again. I'm going to unmute this for a second so you can hear the crowds. Always good to have people on the race course cheering you on or heckling or whatever. So as I was saying, having goals is one of the things that I love about racing, and having a reason to get out there and push yourself hard, because the more you ride, the harder you push yourself, the more you increase your health benefit. I mean, there's a lot of super solid health benefits of riding zone 2 and harder zones like zone 4, zone 5. And if you don't know what the zones are, maybe I'll explain that in the video that I do coming up about my shift in training. I'll talk about how I'm going to structure my week. I like hearing that, right? I like hearing how other people fit cycling into their work week, especially those people who work full time. So that'll be a separate video. And nutrition, right? I mean, it gives you a reason to take care of your body and not eat crap, and not drink a lot of alcohol or whatever, things that can decrease your health. Things that increase your health for cycling can increase your health for other things too. So it all goes back to just having the motivation to ride, to push hard, to train. And I also have been missing out on group rides. And that's another thing I'm going to try to incorporate into my training. Oddly enough, around here, there's not a lot of racers, mountain bike racers, who ride together. I had some training partners years ago who are no longer here. And so I don't have a lot of people that I train with, but I'm going to try to change that. I'm going to try to get some group rides going, like on Saturday mornings or something. There are group gravel rides in my area in the wintertime. And after work, like Tuesday nights, I think they are. And I haven't been able to do those because of work schedule, but I'm going to try to get back to those now that I'm having a new job coming up in a week and a half, and hopefully we'll have time to get back to doing those gravel rides. Because the thing about group riding is you will push yourself harder, whether you're racing into shape, racing with people, or group riding. You just push yourself harder than you would by yourself. It's just mentally hard to push yourself doing intervals all the time. Maybe some people can do it, but I start to it's probably my ADD, but after a while it's just a slog. And so mixing it up with group rides really helps me out, and that's why I respond really well to racing into shape. And it's something that works for a lot of people. I also don't race all the time. Like in this series, I'm going to do 4 or 5 of these races. But yeah, racing into shape is something that is real. I mean, the more I race, the faster I get. I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, but you do what you can, and I love it. I love racing. I love everything around it. All right, I'm going to stop my monologue here and just let the video play out with the sounds of the riding. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the scenery and the discussion. Let me know if you race, and let me know if you've gone through these kind of thoughts about cross-country racing and why do you stick with it. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.